Hello neighbor, this is Curt with etrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Konig Self-Tensioning Tire Chains. We're going to see how they work with our 2025 Mazda CX-30 with 215 over 55 R18 tires. These tire chains are an excellent way to just make sure that you're traveling safely in those icy or snowy or even muddy conditions. This particular set of tire chains are self-tensioning, meaning that it's going to have this tensioner here that's just going to constantly keep this tight and snug around your wheels. So you won't have any, loose fitting or anything like that. You won't have to stop and check on them every once in a while and do any tightening or adjusting. It's all going to do that on your own, so it's pretty much a set and forget type of tire chain. It's made out of a nickel manganese alloy, which is going to make it extremely corrosion resistant. So even if you store them while they're, a little bit wet, or, perhaps you're going down a road that has a lot of salt on it, it's just going to add some longevity to them and make them last for you for a good long time. Another great thing about them is that it is a square link, which means it's going to have kind of a sharper edge here. It's not a rounded link, and that's just really going to help you bite into that ice and snow as you're moving along. These are a diamond pattern, which means they crisscross across the tread of the tire, and I really like the diamond patterns. Because of that, there is always going to be a chain contacting the road, and not only that, but as opposed to a ladder style chain that just goes directly across the tire, while those are really good for moving forward, backward, and stopping, these are going to do that the exact same way, but they're also going to assist with any kind of turning as well. Because they crisscross and we have links going across the center of the tire tread like this, it's really going to help with that lateral movement and help keep you from sliding too much. Another really nice thing about these is where they crisscross, we have these plates. And these plates are going to do an excellent job. They're right in the center of the tire of really breaking into that thick ice that might be underlying that snow, again giving the traction that you need in order to get to and from your destination safely. Installation of this type of tire chain is really simple and convenient as well. A lot of tire chains that are out there, particularly the manual tensioning ones, you're going to have to get under the car and make connections and do a lot of adjusting and pulling while you're underneath the vehicle. And on the CX-30, there's just not a lot of room to do that. So a chain like this, where it can completely be installed and uninstalled from the front here on the outside of the vehicle, can be huge for you, especially if you're stuck out somewhere in really bad weather conditions. So after mentioning how these go on, I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how we got these on our CX-30 right now. So when you're preparing to install your tire chains, there's two things I recommend you do. One, wear some gloves. Generally speaking, tire chains can have some slightly sharp edges. You can get pinched, and not only that, it's just good practice because whenever you're installing tire chains out in the real world, you're generally going to be in some pretty bad weather conditions. The other thing you want to do is lay your tire chains out flat. So one of the things you want to do this for is just to be able to inspect them. You want to make sure there's no twists or kinks in the chain, and if they're chains that you've used previously, you also want to check them for any type of damage they might have sustained the last time you had them on. We're also laying them out like this so that we can prepare them to go onto our tire correctly. So I've got my cable laid out here, and the attachment from the chain to the cable is a loop that has an open hook end. When you're laying these down, you want that open hook end facing the ground. That way when we install them, it's going to be facing away from the sidewalls on our tires. The other thing we're going to do here is we're going to separate this bottom portion, and generally what we're going to try to do is just feed this around the back of our tire like so. We're going to do our best, because again, there's probably going to be some snow and things on the ground, but just kind of do our best to leave it laid out as we had it on the ground. Again, making sure we're not going to have any twists or kinks in it or anything like that when we get them up and on. The other thing we're going to do is take that bottom portion that's split, and we're going to bring those around the front to the bottom of the tire for us right there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take one end of my cable. Usually I want to take the end with the tensioner. It's just a little harder to control with the extra weight on it. So I'm going to bring that cable up behind my tire, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of hold it in place right here and get my connection ready to meet the other end. With this end, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do my best to kind of control it and drape it over the tire like so. And I'm going to make this connection with my cable up here at the top, just like this. Just slide it in and over. And then I'm going to keep control of the front of my chains as I just kind of drape that back and behind. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this red open end hook and this red loop here and connect them. I really do like that Konig made these in red because there are going to be times where you might have to put these on in low light conditions. And having my connections in a brighter color just helps out in order to make all my connections quickly and properly. Once I do that, I'm going to try to center those center links on the tread of the tire. We're just going to keep this as centered as possible. And I'm also trying to keep as much of this gray chain off of my wheels as I can. So I'm going to bring this around to the front just like so. Make sure it's not caught up on anything back here. There it goes. Just like that. And then with this end here, what I'm going to do is feed this end of my tensioner through this loop. I'm going to let that come down just like that. And then I'm going to pull up on it and tighten it as much as I can. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take the hook on my tensioner, and I'm going to bring it down, and with the open end of the hook facing out, make that connection. Now that everything is set, I'm just going to take a look at it. I'm happy with the fact that the chain is pretty much off of my wheel. Any part that is making contact with it is going to be a plastic. There's even plastic bumpers down here at this end of my tensioner, as well as the hook here. And that's going to do two things. One, it's going to keep my wheels from getting scratched up as I have these on and I'm rolling down the road. And two, if I don't happen to have gloves on, it can get awfully cold trying to hook these metal connections together, and it's really pretty rough on the hands. But overall, this is an excellent fit. I really do like the way that these fit on these tires and wheels. Everything is centered up nicely, and again, I'm just really happy with the fact that we're staying off of our wheel for the most part. So that's a look at the self-tensioning tire chains from Konig on our 2025 Mazda CX-30. And if after watching this video you decide that these are the tire chains that you want for your vehicle and you have the opportunity to get them, install them, and use them, please share what you think about them in the comments below. Sharing your experience with us and other neighbors just like you can help them make the best decisions for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.